Let us begin by acknowledging the traditional stewards of the lands we all are collectively standing on. We show gratitude to the Tongva people past and present for caring for this place that was stolen from them and that we now call Los Angeles, and vow to help the Tongva gain federal recognition and autonomy. Please take a moment to acknowledge the ancestral people and land you're currently on by sharing their names in the chat. Welcome everyone to the Women Who Submit Submission Conference. Sponsorship for this event comes from Natalie Diaz and Arizona State University Center for Imagination in the Borderlands. In this hour, we are hosting the panel Empowering Your Community with Women Who Submit Chapter Leads, moderated by Women Who Submit founder Ashaki M. Jackson. I am your tech host for the hour. If you have any technical issues or questions, please message me directly in the chat. Please, if you would like to ask an official question to our panel, you can write those in the Q&A, and our moderator will pick a couple for the panel to answer toward the end of the hour. Feel free to send reactions, feedback, and positive support in the chat. And with that, I hand things over to Ms. Ashaki.
Thank you, Noriko. Good afternoon, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed the conference thus far, and we welcome you to the last panel of the day, Empowering Your Community, a conversation with women who submit chapter leads. I'm your moderator, Ashaki Jackson. Today, we'll discuss the experience of building and nurturing community within the Women Who Submit context. We'll reserve about 10 minutes at the close of the panel to answer audience questions. And if you have questions for the panelists, then please select the QA button in the bottom menu and type your comments. Let's welcome today's guests. Becca Gomez Farrell's fantasy novel, Wings Unseen, debuted in 2017. Her shorter works have appeared in over 20 publications, including Beneath Ceaseless Skies, the best indie speculative fiction of 2019, and Intrinsic. She organizes Bay Area chapters of Women Who Submit and the Speculative Literature Foundation. Oh, I did not do my due diligence. Desiree, how do you pronounce your last name?
Kannel.
Kannel. All right, here we go. Desiree Kannel is the owner of Rose Writers Workshops and teaches creative writing to adults and youth. She is a founding board member of the Long Beach Literary Arts Center and co-lead of the Long Beach Women Who Submit chapter. Her novel, Lucky John, was published this year by Black Rose Writing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you both for being here today. It is an honor, and it was a journey to get to this place.
Thank you.
It's great to be
So
here.
I'm going to stop chattering over here, and I'm going to ask you all to open the conversation by giving us your origin stories. Where did you both begin with Women Who Submit?
Would you like to go first, Desiree?
Sure. So where did I begin with? Well, I was hearing about it from my LA writer friends, and one day about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Long Beach writer friend that I know of, Rachel Rifkin, we drove up to LA orientation and the bookstore. I forget the name of the bookstore, but we definitely knew this is something that we wanted to bring to Long Beach writers. Although we love our LA writers, it's just, you know, going up there every day. I mean, for the every second or third Saturday just seemed a little too much. And we thought we have enough writers here in Long Beach. For those of you who don't know, Long Beach is about 20 miles south of LA. And normally it's a good drive, but we figured, you know, there's enough writers here in Long Beach to start our own chapter. So that's what we did. We went up there and got orientated and then say, hey, we want to have our own WWS here in Long Beach. So we've been meeting the second Saturday but then we switched it to the third Saturday a few months ago here in Long Beach. And it's been really great. I personally owe my last submissions to WWS. I vividly remember sitting there and saying, I submitted, and then getting a nice round of applause. And then a few months later, getting that yes letter from the publication. So it's been a
Wonderful.
wonderful collaboration, a beautiful journey. And I'm so honored to be a part of this organization. And I know Rachel feels the same way, Rachel Rifkin. Mhm.
Fantastic. And hello to Rachel out in, I don't know, the internet sphere,
Yeah.
wherever she might
Hi,
be
Rachel.
at this time. So thank you to Women Who Submit Long Beach, who are co-led by Desiree and Rachel.
Yes.
Rebecca?
Sure. I lead a Bay Area branch of Women Who Submit. There are multiple Bay Area branches, so I lead one of them. This particular branch was founded by Dominica Fataplace, whose name you'll hear me say probably more often in the course of this panel, because she's a good support and a mighty force. And Dominica had heard about Women Who Submit, and she wanted to start her own chapter of it. And she roped her friend Erin Cashier in, who got them a cafe to meet in monthly. And so they started it, I think, around 2015, 2016 or so. And then our particular branch has a strong speculative fiction writer element to it. I'd say probably about half of us who go are speculative
Wow.
fiction writers. And Dominica is a speculative fiction writer as well as a literary writer. So I heard about it just through the community of speculative fiction writers in the area and started going around probably like the later end of 2016. And then Dominica had to move away for a while and Erin got really busy. So they asked me to step in for them once they weren't able to lead it anymore. So I think I took it over about 2017 and I've been leading it since then. And we meet every other month um, and currently on Zoom. But in the past, we always met at the same cafe. But about a year ago, we realized that, hey, most of us who come here are actually in the East Bay. And we used to always meet in San Francisco. So now we actually alternate when it's in person, we alternate between the East Bay and then the next time we'll go to San Francisco again so that we get a wider reach of people who can make it.
That's great. Were there decisions that you had to make or topics you had to consider when they said, would you like this ready-made organization?
Time management is always a question. I personally am very good at prioritizing doing other work than my own writing. I am able and privileged to be able to write as my regular day job, but I managed to fill in that time pretty easily with other tasks and commitments. So it was a question of, could I do this and still safeguard my own writing time? But I also know that submitting work out for publication is part of the work of a writer. And I had been able to use Women Who Submit to make that happen for the past year that I'd been going. So really me making sure that the meetings continued to happen would be advancing my own career anyhow, because I found that 2 hour window very productive of having people supporting you and cheering you on. And I didn't want to lose that either. So I said yes. And I'm also organized and detailed. So I was surprised that they asked me, but then I was like, okay, I can make this happen. I can make this work.
Yeah, I agree with Rebecca. Having that added structure to our own writing career has been so helpful. I know when I graduated from my MFA program, just losing that structure was really, it was devastating to me as a writer, and I had to make concrete steps to rebuild it. And, you know, I tried organizations here, building things here in Long Beach, and some of them stuck and most of them didn't. And then when Women Who Submit came along, you know, I personally know, you know, Ashaki and Sochi and Tisha. some of the founders, so I knew these would be great people to hitch my writer's wagon to, and just basically following their lead. As far as adjustments, the last adjustment we did, our timing was perfect too, because it's right before COVID was. We LA and Long Beach used to meet on the same weekend, and we wanted the option of being able to go up to LA. So that's when we switched to the third weekend. And then, now it really doesn't matter. Well, I guess it does, because then we can join you guys online, those of us who are LA members. But that was maybe one of the little tiny adjustments that we made to the organization. But beyond that, the foundation that you all had built into the organization were very strong. So it was easy to slip in.
It's helpful to hear from both of you all how the communities are, they kind of contribute to some of your needs as a writer. For Desiree, it's maintaining some type of structure so that you can commit even deeper to your writing practice. And then for Rebecca, it's, I'm an organizer, I am organized, I need to hold time for my work, and this is how Women Who Submit fits in. So it's good to hear that this is not like an additional kind of task for you or extra luggage on your journey towards writing. So thank you for that.
Definitely not.
I'm interested in hearing about, like, these communities, these chapters don't just sprout and thrive. I think of chapter leads as people who host spaces where these relationships can grow and be nurtured, and leads don't come empty-handed. So they bring ideas and experiences to the table. They bring their own values, their own spin. What was important for you to bring to the chapter lead role?
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, I'll go. I'd say probably two specific things for me. One, I think it's important to be a good hostess. And I feel like that's, like kind of a patriarchal term, but you all know what I mean by that. I was trained to be a good hostess by my mom, who throws great parties, but also by being a church girl. I went to church all of the time growing up, and a very big part of church services is making the new visitor feel welcome. And also being open to the public, which is one thing that our particular branch does, is our meetings are open for anyone who's a writer, who's a woman or genderqueer to attend. But it's not like a private select group of people. It's open for anyone to be able to come in. So I feel like I am well trained from my background of how I grew up, at noticing like when somebody is confused, noticing when someone needs a little more introduction, when somebody might need some encouragement or maybe need some resources. So I'm very good at recognizing that and making people feel welcome. And that's a personal skill that I bring to the table, I think. I forgot what my second point is, so maybe I'll remember it while Desiree goes.
Thank you. Well, once again, I do agree with Rebecca. Being a good hostess and making people feel welcome to the group is very important. For us, it was, if I can just back up a little bit to the other organization I founded, help found here in Long Beach, was the Long Beach Literary Arts Center. And that's because we felt that Long Beach needed we needed an organization where all the writers and people interested in everything literary could go to find resources in other organizations. And that was a little bit of a struggle for us down here. It's like, where are the writers? We know they're out there, and there's all these different groups. So it was a matter of outreach at the beginning. Was a little tough, was just trying to connect with the right groups, the right people, and just let people know we were here and what we were doing. And we are also pretty open. Well, we are open to any woman, non-binary writer who wants to come and join us. And most of them come with a lot of questions. We do spend a lot of time in our our monthly sessions, helping people. We get a lot of people who are brand new to the whole process of submitting. And that's always fun, you know, holding their hand and say, go ahead, push the submit button, it's okay. You know, and then cheering for them when they're ready to do it. And so that's what we do down here to support writers, and just reaching out to different organizations that we know. I remember beginning in our local paper, we used to post a little ad, you know, women who submit, we're coming, you know, we're come and join us and learn about the process. So I would say our branch, we have a heavy educational component to it also. So, which is fun.
So was that an ad in the newspaper, in the local paper?
Yeah, the Long Beach Press Telegram. You can just, and it's free in their calendar section. You just write it in and say, hey, we're doing this. And
That's great.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that
I love
the
it.
ads that I have done are more when I've been reading at events or have been like a panelist for other programs. Mentioning women who submit is something I make sure to do, and I make sure to bring with me a clipboard so people can sign up for the newsletter. And I do a monthly newsletter, which is the other thing I was going to mention that I bring to the chapter, is something I started, and it's just once a month. I promised to myself and to everybody else that it'll only be once a month, because we all get too many emails as it is. But it's just a reminder of our upcoming submission party and whatever those details are. And it's a listing of what the organization you all are running out of Los Angeles are doing. So like Kit Reed grants and the workshops this summer. So I have a section that's on what's the organization at large doing. And then I have a celebration section, which is where we celebrate the publications that our members have gotten that I'm aware of in the past month. So some members will email me and be like, hey, look, I got published. And so we'll share that link. I do a lot of just stealing when I see them on Facebook or on Twitter sharing their publication. I'll just steal the link right there and then throw it in my bragging section for later on. But I think that positive support people really look forward to. And that's actually something I think that is beneficial to running the branch, that more going to women who submit has taught me, is how important that support is in all of us, for all of us as writers. I think it's really one of the traps we can fall into as writers is career comparison and feeling as though, oh, everybody else around me, oh, they're doing way better than I am. And women who submit we don't go for that. We are all supporting each other to get ahead. We had our submission party just a couple days ago. And for example, like half the people who came that day ended up submitting to the Sun. And we were all getting excited about, oh, we'll all be in the same Sun table of contents. Absolutely. But nobody was like, oh, that's competition. You know, like, oh, that's somebody else who's going to be in the reckoning when they're looking at their submissions. No, like, we're here to uplift each other.
Very good. Yeah. We don't do a newsletter. All of our communications done via our Facebook page. So we have a Long Beach WWS Facebook page, and I send out an email when we're going to meet or there's any other information we need to share with our members. So. But right now, another, I guess, co-lead would be Lucy Rodriguez-Hanley, and she's very good about posting submission opportunities on our Facebook page. So
Wonderful. I'm getting a little teary-eyed because there's so much that you all are bringing to the organization of these chapters. And I know that when we do our chapter orientation, or our chapter lead orientation, I try to explain how each chapter is place-based. So you respond to the needs of your chapter. Like there's no template on how many times you should meet and where you should meet. The only template is, you know, announce what your submission goals are, get to the work of submitting, announce when you submit, cheer everybody on. Like those are our fundamentals. But to hear that you all are doing outreach, even in newspapers, on social media, that you're bringing the spirit of ushering and the mission of goodwill, like these things provide such like rich soil for growth in our chapters. And it's touching that you all would offer those things to build and to collaborate. And speaking of building and collaborating, from what you've seen and experienced amongst your chapters, to what extent have relationships made during your sessions been useful in your literary lives, and how?
Oh gosh, that's to what extent? I don't think I can say that in words. It's just been really great. The people, the other writers that we've met, the support that we get. As far as my writing career, my writing, it's just being able to bounce questions and concerns off of other writers in the group, or through Facebook, and sharing our talents with each other. For example, can you edit this for me, and I'll do this for you, and just sharing our resources has been so helpful. I mean, there's nothing like a writing community. Every writer needs one. So to help move along and build those relationships. And again, the support, as Rebecca was saying, knowing that there's no, we're all in this together, and we all understand the submission of process, we understand the acceptance, but we also really understand the rejection process. And it's, it's taken me a while to become proud of my rejections, but just even sharing that is joyful, which I thought I'd never say, but it's something to be joyful about and proud about, because at least you're in the game right there. And people who aren't in this business, they don't get it. And you feel like you're with, you are with your people. So just building those kind of relationships have been, I can't put a word to it. It's just been phenomenal for me. And I know for the other writers too.
And I do want to add just briefly to put these two things together. There was mention of kind of celebrating the wins, the acceptances in the newsletter, and there's also celebrating the rejections to demonstrate that I tried. I'm building my submission muscle. I'm going to try again, but I've gone through this process of submitting once, and I'm going to keep going. So I'd like to at least acknowledge that both of those things are equally celebrated in women who submit, the acceptances and the rejections, because they are part of the fuller process of committing to one's work and getting that work out into the open.
Yes, thank you.
Rebecca, you were going to mention something.
To that, I was going to actually add that something we started this year was suggested by one of our members, Jennifer Ng, was to do a 50 rejection stamp card, which I printed them out on my printer. I got little stamps, so every single rejection, someone would get a stamp, and as soon as they got 50 within a year, I was going to buy them a drink at whatever cafe we were at, whether it's coffee or alcohol, it's up to you. And I'm still super excited about that, even though we aren't meeting in person now, so I'm still going to make it work somehow. But that's just a way to celebrate rejections as well.
Love that.
Getting that.
Hey, Rebecca.
Putting yourself out that many times is just, that's worthy of celebration.
Yeah. So. Rebecca, you can consider that idea stolen, because
that's great.
We're going to take that. I love it. I absolutely love
Everybody share the rejection punch card. Like, let's fill them up. Let's get that drink, but let's submit.
Throw away your Yogurtland card and get this one.
Forget that.
Yes.
Great idea.
Yes.
And on the.
Did you want to say something else, Rebecca? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, on the community outside of the submission parties, Dominica started that for sure by inviting people to join her to get chocolate down the street from where we used to meet at Dandelion Chocolate in San Francisco in the Mission District. And so after we would do our 2 hours of submitting, we'd reward ourselves with some fancy chocolate dessert at Dandelion Chocolates. And so that was just a chance to actually, talk with people rather than just be focused on getting our work out there, which was a great way to build community. And I personally find after someone's come a couple times, I add them to my social networks myself as much as I can, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, whatever way it is. And that's a way for me to connect with people and see what they're doing in their regular lives. So they aren't just a name that just appears during that meeting. And I love being able to do that. I think that's a great thing social media does for us, is I can get to know people that I only like happen to meet once or twice at a meeting, and I can really get more insight into their lives. And I think another way we build community is people share their successes. And so people who've gotten accepted into a residency program, they're able to tell somebody else, you know, like, oh, hey, yeah, this is what I did with my application. And this is how I was able to get in. And they share those experiences. And we just give each other ideas of new places to submit that we wouldn't have known without it.
So it goes from, you know, having that role of usher and host, and also being kind of the first person to hold one's hand in submissions, to everyone else picking up that role. So you have like a machine with several gears of people giving and making the submission process a bit easier and less mystifying, if I may reference our first panel title of demystification. So that sounds like a good machine to have. We call it community, but it's in the works. Tell me more.
Way that I think we've built community that I wouldn't necessarily think of as community at first, but Dominica now lives here again, so she's always has great ideas, and she started having us do a reading series and was getting us spaces to do readings, and I think we did a total of 3 different reading series before things shut down. And just being able to hear people actually share their writing, which we don't necessarily get to during the submission sessions because we're focused on sending work out. It's really nice to be able to connect and, you know, see what it is people are working on. And then some of those pieces have been accepted for publication after they've been at readings. We've been able to celebrate and be like, oh yeah, I know that piece of yours because you read it at the reading. And I think that's just another way to connect, which is great.
Great, full circle. Wonderful. Great ideas. I hope that people are taking notes. Our audience members are taking notes on these, especially those who are either interested in becoming a chapter lead or those who are chapter leads in the audience. Hello to you all out there. Because these are important in not only building, but solidifying the structures that we create for chapters. Tell me, in your opinions, what makes and Rebecca, you touched on this in terms of like building relationships with each other that are literary and then beyond literary. What makes your chapter specifically a community?
What makes our chapter a community?
Yeah, that sounds like a trick question. A trick question. I thought we were a community, but you know, compared to chapters who might just everybody come, sit around the table, let's get this work done. We're treating it as a task and then we disperse. There are other chapters that are more friendly or familial. There are other chapters who come from other spaces together, like they've graduated from the same program together and they're keeping it moving along. I mean, what are those aspects that make you want to gel?
I would say one of those aspects in our group is how willing everyone is to share their experiences and their backgrounds. And it's a real like mix of people. Like I said, a good number of us are speculative fiction writers, but we also have poets, we have literary writers, we have memoirists, we have all sorts of people and all sorts of experience levels. And no matter how many publications someone has, they're more than willing to answer a question about a query letter somebody has of like, you know, how should this be worded? People jump in and really genuinely want to help each other succeed. and I don't really see any judgment either. I just see like happiness to share that experience with each other, and hopefully have somebody else get a new publication in our midst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say for us, it's that openness, for anyone to come at any level, at any place in their writing career, to come and sit and learn, share, and grow with each other. As I said earlier, we have, people writers who have never submitted, they don't even understand the process. And then we have others who've been doing it for decades, right? And they've been published and everything, and just to see them take the time to answer the questions and give the tips and the feedback, it's really heartwarming to see. So I think that's what helps gel us together, the learning that we all get from the community. And we ask each other questions on our Facebook page or in our email group, and it's just that knowing that there's a place for me no matter where I am. And we say there's no dumb questions. Whatever you need is whatever, any question you have is good, because somebody else might have it and they don't want to, they're too embarrassed or whatever to say it. But that aspect, one workshop we had a few years ago, there was a writer here, and she had been really involved in the writing process for a while, but family issues and personal issues had her stop for many years, and she came in determined to submit. She had 5 poems to submit, and we just kept having technical difficulty after technical difficulty. And then pretty soon we were all swarmed around her in her laptop, just helping her and egging her on because she kept wanting to quit. And I looked at her, I said, "You are not leaving this house until you submit." And we went about an hour over helping her, but it was just so beautiful to see. It's like cheering somebody at a marathon, doing that last half mile. You can do it, you can do it. So that was just, that really helps to build our community, just supporting each other in that way.
That's a great story.
Mm-hmm. I want to add that, and I think Desiree was touching on this too, just the simple structure of the submission party, just the applauding people, that positive reinforcement, I think builds community. It puts that positive energy into the air and connects us, the actual just act of cheering for each other. We have in our chapter, it's in the other room or I'd get it, but we have like a hotel bell. And whenever someone submits, they hit the bell and then everybody cheers and applauds, and it's so much fun and it's ridiculous. And every time I bring it, I'm like, this is silly. And then people just love it. Just being able to have that positive reinforcement right there. And everybody else gets motivated by that. And so I think it unifies us, being happy about ringing a silly bell. Bonds our community.
But cheering is so essential, cheering for each other. I think it does 2 things. It celebrates a big deal. Like, you just submitted something, you just put your writing out there for someone else to look at and vet. I don't want to say judge because that's a frightening term, to look at and vet, but also, positive reinforcement. Do I like being clapped for? I don't know. But now that you're doing it, yes, I want some more of that. Let me submit. Let me go ahead and submit. And then I think in the early years of Women Who Submit, maybe year 1 through year 3, year 1 through year 2, we, in bringing our potluck goods, would bring the fixins for a mimosa, and we would toast when people would submit, because we were new to it and not everybody was submitting. So it was a big deal. So we would toast and we would sip, and then people got really good at it, and we had to put the mimosas away because it couldn't focus after a while. So let's just clap. I really like your bell idea. People have brought one of our high volume submissions persons, brought fried chicken once, I think, and she got to eat her fried chicken after she submitted. But she's really good at submitting, and she would submit like 10 things. So she would bring a bucket of chicken. That was also quite impressive. Whatever works. whatever works.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. We have a lot of great moments and great stories from each of our chapters in terms of like support or submission volume, even celebrating rejections. But sometimes we have to prune. In what ways do you sustain your community? Like how do you address challenges? And like how do you stay afloat? How are you keeping things even?
Mm-hmm.
Well, right now is a little bit of a challenging time. I think we've had 2 submission parties during the pandemic, and they've gone pretty well, though for some reason my Zoom like immediately craps out when I'm doing Women Who Submit. It works for everything else, but for the submission parties, I've had trouble every time. But it can be a little more, I think, distracting to people to, have as much of like, if a new person goes in the Zoom room and you need to like be explaining the same thing over and over again, then that's kind of more distracting, I think, to everybody else in this format than it is in person. So I'm trying to figure out ways to do that better. Whether it's making sure to get emails ahead of time and do an orientation, or maybe using breakout rooms and moving new people and myself into a breakout room to orient them and then come back into the main session. But I have been impressed that we've had probably about the same amount of people coming to the Zoom sessions as have come in person. And we've had some people who've moved away coming to the sessions as well, who were glad to be able to join again. So I think that's good. I think the community is strong enough that it is pulling through, even though it's not the same thing that we wanted before, or it's not the same format that we had before. And I think I have people who are volunteering to do a monthly session, which is good. So people are really wanting to be productive during this time period and wanting to get their work out, and they miss that community in person, so they want it in this format, and they want to see each other more, which is great.
So the option is available.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yes.
Desiree?
Okay, so for Long Beach, when we were meeting in person, we met at a coffee shop, and one of the, I guess, issues that we might have every now and then were folks coming and not really understanding what we were actually there for. It's really easy for the conversation to veer off into something else. And, every now and then, sometimes I'd feel like a teacher and have to pull us back to where we're here to submit and talk about all things literary. So just as a little minor thing, when COVID hit and we were all sheltering in place, we it just, like everyone else, it took us by surprise, and we're all trying to work out our own lives. So we've unfortunately we've met maybe once or twice online, but the last time we met, there was a lot of momentum to get it going up and going again. So we started a few new things on our Facebook page, and we will be meeting again once a month at least, and thinking of other things to do. And then also still offering things through Long Beach Literary Arts too. So, like everyone else, when I finally realized that this is our life online, it's like, okay, get on board like everyone else. So I'm actually looking forward to what we're going to do next online, because as Rebecca said, people who are not in the area now can come, right? So, and we do have some members who have moved away, so we'll definitely be reaching out to them to see if they'd like to join us for a submission party. So
It's a good moment for expansion.
mm-hmm. Yeah, looking for that silver lining, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can definitely see us doing, even once we're all able to be out in the world again, having a like monthly Zoom session, and then like every other month in-person session at a cafe, having both options there.
Mm-hmm.
Because seeing people in person is a great way to build community, but the online world offers so much, opens up so much accessibility for people who aren't able to get across the bay
Absolutely.
during rush hour on a weeknight,
Yeah.
or even that feel uncomfortable buying a cafe, buying, you know, a cappuccino. They don't have the few bucks for cappuccinos, or they don't want to come to the cafe. So having this format as well, I think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So I'm gonna ask one more question, and then we'll open it up to the audience members for Q&A. Again, if you all have questions, please drop it in the Q&A box that you can locate on the menu at the bottom of your screen, and I will pick through a few of those so that we can spend the last 10 minutes of our time exploring audience interests. So beyond Women Who Submit, what recommendations can you share about developing a thriving literary community?
I say find out what readings are going on in your community. I don't always have the best focus during readings. I may miss half of what somebody's sharing and what they're actually reading, but showing up to readings allows you to get to know other people in the literary community in your area, and then following up those connections with social media reach out, whether it's a Facebook friend or a Twitter follow, starts building those relationships. And I think it personally that one of the best things you can do to build community is to support other people, and that can just be these connections you've developed. Someone shares they got a book deal, so retweet that, repost that, be excited for them, share it everywhere. And that person, believe me, because I've been that person who's received that sort of attention and support from my community, they're never going to forget that. And when something comes around that you need promo for, or you need to spread the word about, you know, your new events, they're going to do it for you. Because you genuinely were able to support them.
Mm-hmm. I agree with all of that, and going to readings, meeting new writers, just letting people know I'm a writer. You know, do you know any writers? Let's meet, let's talk. Also, when I was looking for a literary community here in Long Beach, I surfed Meetup, looking for meetup groups, and also found a lot of local groups on Facebook. So just typing in your city name and writers groups, things can come up on Facebook to find other groups and whatnot. You know, we all have to use social media these days. Check in with your local libraries. They may be looking for people to do online workshops, readings, or whatever, because they're desperate for content just like everyone else. So be creative, be bold, step out there, you know, just do it, to borrow a phrase. You know, we wouldn't be here if a small group of lovely writers up in LA hadn't just did it, right? So just do it. All you need is yourself and your dreams, and it'll happen. It'll happen, you know. Do what you love and everything will fall into place.
I would also add, don't underestimate the importance of just creating a space just to talk. I have one of the other organizations I'm involved in is the East Bay Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Meetup Group, and it's primarily a critique group that meets once a month and does critique short selections of people's work, and they've been in existence for, I think, about a decade now, and I just felt that I needed to just be able to talk shop with people outside of the critique setting, because this meeting is very focused on critiquing while we're there for that once a month meeting. So I started holding craft clutches at cafes or at bars whenever my schedule allows, just once a month, and it would be 2 hours, and just show up and we're just going to talk about whatever writing challenges we have right now, anything we want to celebrate, any like questions, and it's a way just to get to actually know the writers and not be so focused on the work. And I think that can be important.
Yeah. Something else I've learned is that if it's something that I need as a writer, as a community member, there's somebody else out there with the same or as close to need. You know, I'm not that unique and different than everyone else. So if there's something that you think your community needs, a need that you want to find out or develop a way to meet it, just start taking those steps and asking those questions, and you'll be surprised who will come and say, you know, I had the same idea, right? I was thinking the same thing. How can we move forward? I want to help. And then just start stepping in that direction.
Okay, thank you all for your responses. I am sorting through some questions, and let me just say, as I adjust myself over here, that in going through the comments, the most popular comment was, where can I get a rejection card? We would like to punch our rejection cards. Can someone disseminate the rejection card? So we're also looking for questions for the panelists on community building. We'll find you some rejection cards. Also, the fried chicken was great. So we're hungry at this point in the audience.
I mean, I can obviously share my template that I used to print out and cut rejection cards.
We might need to borrow that. We're getting a lot of encouraging notes. There was a question that I can't personally answer, but I wonder if Sochi is available in the background to chime in on this. What will the virtual submission blitz look like? And this is for all of our chapters nationwide, and also people who might not be part of Women Who Submit, who are maybe outside of the hemisphere. We celebrate our birthday, the Women Who Submit birthday, by bombarding particular top-tier publications with work, and we cannot necessarily do that in one place this year. So if Sochi can tell us what that might look like, we'd appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't prepared. I'm like, anyway, I'm here. Hello.
Hi.
I was eating chips and hummus while we were talking about the fried chicken and the mimosas. So, yeah, we're hungry. So this year, there's always been a portion of the Blitz that's been online. It actually started as an online event. The idea was to like have an online drive where we invite people from all over the country, all over the world really, to submit all together at one time. And we always share a few submission calls, at least 5. I mean, I guess the goal is like 1 for sure. Here are 5 also, because I always like 5 personally. Anytime I go to a submission party, I'm always going for 5. Anyway, so it's always been an online event, and then we always have it through Facebook, and it's like you basically just join, say you're going, and the idea is you going is you sending in your work, and then you just let us know, and we clap from you from Facebook. In the last couple of years, thanks to Ramona Pilar and also Lauren Ager-Crow, we've had, actually a few years, we've had LA meetups. So we do have like local, we'll go to a bar. The first one was at a bar, and that's always fun, where we hang out, and there's always some like, the first one had like some drunk dudes like, what are you all doing? And that was interesting.
But they cheered for us. They did cheer. They didn't know what they were cheering for.
I love when cafe, like people in the cafe get excited for us too. And actually we've gotten members who come to another time because they've come across that and they wanted to see it, and other people who are just like, yeah, I want to tell you how much I love the energy you guys bring when you're here every month. So.
Yeah, they started cheering for us. They were like, you just got published, you got published. And we're like, not exactly, but thank you. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of the idea of the Blitz. It's like it's like in public and that energy, and people ask us what's going on. And so because we can't do that stuff this year, it's going to be on Instagram mostly. Sakae Manning is our IG editor, and she is working on what that will look like on the day. We're going to have some Facebook Live events where people can join and be like, I submitted, and we can clap for you on IG. She also, as the editor, got a couple of videos, just already started posting some videos. Cynthia Guardado, who I saw made a comment, she's in the room right now. She made a video for us that went up, I think, yesterday. Ryan Granados, who's one of our leads, organizers in LA, she also made a video. So it's all gonna be on Instagram and Facebook, and then some stuff on Twitter. So it'll be on social media. And I'll stop talking now because y'all are amazing and I love you. Okay, bye.
Thank you so much, Sochi. We appreciate that. 2 other questions that have come in. Let's see. From Lee Romer Kaplan. I already have one of Becca's rejection cards filling rapidly. Okay, this rejection card. So here's something else. In the time of Corona, how are you rethinking your process for inclusion and accessibility, given that not everyone has great access to stable internet and Zoom? Is this something that you all have thought about yet?
Not as much as I could be, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do have this issue with Zoom. We used to have an issue with Zoom bombing, and now we are creating Zoom zombies. Should have purchased stock in Zoom is the first response I can think of. But it's worth brainstorming. I'll say that we don't have an idea quite yet about how to maintain a virtual community. I don't think any of us thought the pandemic would last this long. But it is worth giving some thought to about if the internet is not a stable place to be, how can we reach out through ground mail or phone calls or text check-ins with everyone to at least let them know we're designating a time from 2 to 4, or we're designating a day where everyone should be submitting, so you have the sense that you're perhaps submitting together or that you're working together from long distance. Phone calls are great, conference calls are still great. Gosh, there does need to be some thought behind that, and I appreciate Lee's question because I don't know if we are prepared for the long haul of working indoors and from safe socially distanced spaces and then still trying to maintain a community. Do you all have any thoughts on that?
Well, one thought is just a small one, but that is that the call-in feature for Zoom is very handy. It's come in very handy for my meetup critique group that I was talking about as well, because we do have some members who are older too and aren't very technologically capable. And so being able to just call in and listen, and they're still, able to talk as well. They just can't see people. And that seems to work passably well for them. So I make sure to communicate that it's a possibility to call in as well, so people know there's more options than the internet option.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, and I'm really grateful to hear the question because it will give us something to think about as the Long Beach chapter moves forward with more online sessions. Yeah, it's definitely something to think about how we can accommodate everyone, make sure no one feels that they cannot participate for whatever reason. So it is, yeah, thank you for that question.
Zoom and, having internet is certainly a luxury. I have been to smaller cities in the Central Valley, and they have citywide internet. And I was like, what is this idea that everybody gets access to the internet? Why don't we have enough money for that? And then I keep driving because, the city was about 3 blocks long. But, in the absence of that, having conversations with your chapters about what they would want, or I guess maybe the risk they're willing to take with, as someone mentioned, socially distanced events, or coordinating a time together. Gosh, it really does need some dedicated time to think that through.
Right, yeah. I actually have a few workshops planned for outside. So socially distanced workshops outside. So I'll let you know how they go. We'll see. We'll see. I was trying to be creative here, but.
I think it's an interesting question also, because it's making me think too, and pointing out that way more people than we think do not have access to internet. I'm always surprised whenever I see the figures for people who aren't connected to the internet, and all of the advertising that I do presently, unless I'm mentioning Women Who Submit at an in-person event with someone, is all internet based. So I think it's worth considering going back to some of the old school promo that we weren't doing as much before.
Yeah, internet is a tricky thing, and we've seen that based on the panic around opening schools this fall. How many students don't have access to internet, and where it's just not available at all. Like, what tower? What is a tower? So, and there's another question that I missed, but I believe the question was, how do we find out if there are chapters, or how do we join a chapter? And that's something that I will share I'll do it in maybe 1 more minute. I will share that in 1 more minute. And then, is there one more question? I feel like I might have missed a question.
There was a question in the chat that somebody had asked about how to foster community in like a virtual space more, as compared to how we have before. And I just wanted to add that that's something that I have had some success, because I am a member of and involved with the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America. And we did our annual Nebula conference virtually at the end of May. And that was one of the big goals of the conference, was to actually replicate the networking spaces of a conference, where you're running into someone in the hallway and you end up talking with them and connecting with them that way. Or, you know, the hotel bar is the main scene for having those more casual spaces of getting to know people. And we were able to do a good facsimile of it through using Zoom breakout rooms and having like 50 rooms available as a social space at any time. And we would have events. There would be people who would be like, oh, I'm going to the calligraphy pen meetup group event, and they would be assigned to the proper room as soon as they appeared. We had a virtual bartender who could tell you what ingredients you had in your like alcohol cabinet and tell you what cocktails you could make, and they would guide you through it. And amazingly, people would just hang out in the virtual bar room like they would at a bar as well. But we had like a karaoke room. So you can do screen sharing and have karaoke nights and dance party nights. And there's really, if you're creative enough about it, there are lots of ways to use the concept of the breakout rooms in Zoom to build community that way.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Did you want to add anything else, Desiree?
No, thank you. That was really great, Rebecca, hearing about the conference online. I love the concept of breakout rooms, and I know how to do them, but it's definitely something we're not taking advantage of. So we'll have to look into that. Thank you.
It's great to meet you,
Well,
Desiree.
that's our time.
You too.
Oh, that's our time. I want to thank Desiree and Rebecca for making some time to join us during this inaugural conference. And I want to thank all of our chapter leads for being valiant ushers, which, Rebecca, that word is in my head now since your church background. Valiant ushers and cheerleaders and hosts for Women Who Submit Leadership. I want to answer that one last question by showing you all this slide. If you are interested in joining Women Who Submit, or if you are interested in starting a chapter, there's information available on this slide that I will leave up for everyone. You're welcome to visit our website, womenwhosubmitlit.org, and look for your chapter on Join Us. We are still updating that page, but it should be ready by Monday. Feel free to stop by and see if there's a chapter already available in your area. And send an email to the chapter leads nearest to you. If you'd like to start a Women Who Submit chapter, our chapter lead orientations take place every second Saturday of the month at 8 a.m. Pacific, so that West Coast and East Coast can be online and then still have the rest of their day, feel free to send me a note to ashakijackson@gmail.com for further information. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to all of our panelists and all of our participants today. Thank you, Ashaki, for this last panel. It was amazing. Just a reminder that we do have our submission blitz coming up in September, so get that work ready, September 5th. And also check out Accolades if you haven't done so already to read amazing work published by our Women Who Submit members.
I have my copy.
Yay!
Yeah, I see.
All right, thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for making this first virtual conference. What a warm and inspiring and amazing event. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Thank